Hello friends, welcome back to the lecture series on vector calculus. In previous few videos, we have discussed about vector differentiation and vector differentiation operator del, where del is a vector quantity which takes partial derivative with respect to x along x-axis plus partial derivative with respect to y along y-axis and partial derivative with respect to z along z-axis. If you operate this vector differentiation operator on the function, if function is a scalar function, then it is known as gradient. If we operate this vector differentiation operator on a vector function by using scalar multiplication, then it is known as divergence that we have discussed. Now in today's video we are going to discuss about when we take vector product of these two vector quantities del and f bar, then whatever we get, that will be a vector quantity and it is known as curl of vector function. So let's discuss about curl. When vector differentiation operator del operates on vector point function f bar by using vector multiplication or cross product, then we get curl of vector function f bar. If we consider if f bar is defined as f1 along x-axis, f2 along y-axis and f3 along z-axis, then mathematically we can find value for curl by calculating determinant. First row is unit vectors I bar, j bar and k bar, where second row is the components of vector del, that is partial derivative with respect to x, partial derivative with respect to y and partial derivative with respect to z. And third row of this determinant will be obtained from components of vector function f bar, that is f1, f2 and f3, where f1, f2, f3 are functions of variables x, y and z. Evaluate this 3 by 3 determinant, we get the required value for curl of vector function f bar. There are some important notes for solving problems on curl of a vector function. If curl of a vector function is equal to 0, then vector function f bar is said to be a rotational vector function. Similarly, if the domain of vector field is simply connected, that is, there are no discontinuities for the vector point function, then the entire vector field will be conservative or it is equal to the gradient of a scalar function. Means, if value for del cross f bar, that is curl, is equal to 0, this implies your vector field f bar is conservative, or we can say that f bar can be represented as gradient of a scalar function, where this function phi is known as scalar potential associated with this vector point function f bar. Let's consider one example. If we find del cross r bar, where r bar is the position vector defined as xi bar plus y j bar plus z k bar. So if we find value for this del cross r bar by using the determinant, so we take I bar, j bar and k bar, where first row is the unit vectors, second row is the components of vector differentiation operator, and third row is the components of vector r bar. So for calculating the coefficient of first unit vector, so we take partial derivative of z with respect to y, that will be 0, minus partial derivative of y with respect to z, again 0, plus, while calculating coefficient for the unit vector j bar or y component of curl vector, we take partial derivative of x with respect to z, that is 0, and partial derivative of z with respect to x, that is again 0. To find the z component, we take partial derivative of y with respect to x and partial derivative of x with respect to y, both will be 0. So this implies value of curl of position vector is always 0. So if curl of a vector field is 0, this implies position vector is irrotational, that is, it is a stationary in the given vector field. To understand more about the vector function, let's consider one example. That these are the banks of a river where water is flowing in uniform direction. So we consider water is flowing in this direction. Since rate of flow of water is maximum in the center and water flow is slower towards the bank, so if we consider position of, so this is the initial position of the particles P1, P2, P3, P4 and P5 at any time t. So as time increases, so these particles will start moving, but since due to change in velocity of water, so these particles will move at different speeds. So if we consider the path, the particles in the stream will move in a parabolic arc. So as we consider any particle at this position, so here velocity applying on this edge will be slower, but velocity applying on this right edge will be maximum. So it will cause the rotation of this object in anti-clockwise direction. And similarly, if we consider one object at this position, then velocity on the right side will be slower and velocity in the left side will be maximum. So it will cause rotation of this object in clockwise sense. But if we consider any particle here, so velocity applying on both the edges of this particle is same. So it will cause no rotation in this object. So here at this point your object is irrotational. So since your object is moving in anti-clockwise direction, by using right hand screw rule, we treat this as a positive sense. So this implies your value for curl for that velocity function is greater than 0. And since object is moving in clockwise sense, so it is treated as negative. So this implies if we find curl or by using right hand screw rule, this value will be less than 0. So in physical aspect, if We consider F bar is motion of rigid body about any fixed axis passing through origin. Then value of curl of this motion vector will represent rotation of that body. If value of curl is positive, then the rotation will be in anti-clockwise sense, and if value of curl is negative, then rotation will be in clockwise sense. But if del cross F bar is 0, this implies there will be no rotation. Curl of a vector field is always perpendicular to the given vector function F bar. If F bar is conservative or irrotational vector field, then there exists a scalar potential associated with this irrotational field. Then the required scalar potential is obtained by using d phi is equal to F bar dot dr bar, where r bar is the position vector, x I bar plus y j bar plus z k bar. So this implies value for dr bar will be dx I bar plus dy j bar plus dz k bar, whereas F bar is the vector point function f1 I bar plus f2 j bar plus f3 k bar. Means if we take the dot product of these two vectors, we get the relation for required scalar potential, and it is f1 into dx plus f2 into dy plus f3 into dz. So from this expression, we discuss how to find the scalar potential associated with irrotational or conservative vector field. So for that, let's take one example. Show that vector function f bar, that is y sin z minus sin x I bar plus x sin z plus 2yz j bar plus xy cos z plus y square k bar is irrotational, and also find the scalar potential associated with it. So first we consider the vector function. Let f bar is equal to f1 I bar plus f2 j bar plus f3 k bar with a given vector function, where f1 is equal to y times sin z minus sin x, f2 is equal to x sin z plus 2 times yz, and f3 is equal to x y cos z plus y square. Therefore, to find value for curl, we consider determinant I bar, j bar, k bar, partial derivative with respect to x, partial derivative with respect to y, partial derivative with respect to z. In third row, we take f1, f2 and f3. Therefore, to find the coefficients for I bar, j bar and k bar, we need these functions f1, f2 and f3. So we consider the functions here and find coefficients of I bar. So we find partial derivative of f3 with respect to y minus partial derivative of f2 with respect to z. So for calculating partial derivative of f3 with respect to y, we treat y as variable and remaining terms will be treated as constant. So first derivative will be x into cos z are constant, derivative of y will be 1 plus 2 times y minus partial derivative of f2 with respect to z. So z will be treated as variable and remaining variables are constant. So x as it is, derivative of sin z will be cos z minus 2 times y. If you observe, these terms will get cancelled. That is, we got 0 I bar. Now, to find coefficient of j bar, we need to differentiate f1 with respect to z and f3 with respect to x. So it is y cos z. The derivative with respect to z will be 0. Then partial derivative of f3 with respect to x. So we take minus y into cos z as it is. Derivative of x will be 1. Again these two terms will get cancelled. So we got 0 j bar. To find coefficient of k bar, we take partial derivative of f2 with respect to x. So this will be sin z minus partial derivative of f1 with respect to y. So this will be minus sin z. Again these terms will get cancelled. So we get 0. So this implies value of vector del cross f bar is a 0 vector. This implies given vector function f bar is irrotational. Now to find required scalar potential associated with the irrotational vector field. So to find scalar potential phi such that f bar is equal to del phi, we consider the remark, that is d phi is equal to f bar dot dr bar, that is nothing but f1 into dx plus f2 into dy plus f3 into dz. So this implies d phi is equal to, our function f1 is y into sin z minus sin x dx plus f2 is x sin z plus 2 times yz into dy plus f3 is x y cos z plus y square into dz. So from this expression we need to find value for the scalar potential phi. Now to simplify this, we consider the terms containing same variables. If we observe, your first term is having variables x, y, z. Second term is taking variable x only. Then here next term is taking all three variables. Here two variables only, y and z. Here it takes three variables. So we collect the terms containing same number of variables. Therefore we take dx into y into sin z plus x into dy into sin z, and third term we can take as x into y into cos z into dz in one bracket. Second term is taking only one variable, that is sin x into dx, whereas the remaining term is having two variables, 2 times yz dy and y square dz. So we can take 2 times y dy into z and y square into dz. So these three brackets are separated on the basis of number of variables in each term. Now we have to rewrite these brackets as derivative of product of some terms. For example, if you consider first bracket, then we must rewrite it as derivative of product of three terms. If you take derivative with respect to x, the remaining two terms are kept unchanged. So this will be y into sin z. While you take derivative of second term, first term is unchanged. So your first variable will be xy. So we can rewrite this bracket as derivative of product of x into y into sin z. Same is the case with, we can rewrite sin x dx as derivative of cos x, because derivative of cos x is minus sin x into dx. Similarly, the third term can be written as derivative of product of two terms because it included two variables. So if we apply u into v rule, second function is unchanged where we take derivative of first term. So your second term will be z, and when we take derivative of second term, first term is unchanged. So first term will be y square. So this bracket is nothing but derivative of product of y square and z, and left hand side is d phi. So if you integrate both sides, we get phi is equal to xy into sin z plus cos x plus y square z plus c, where c is the constant of integration. So this will be the required scalar potential associated with the irrotational vector field. I hope you have understood this example. In next video, we will discuss more examples on irrotational function as well as scalar potential associated with it.